This is Shooting Spaces with Rich Baum and Brian Berkowitz.
Welcome to Shooting Spaces. This is Rich Baum from Sacramento, California.
Brian Berkowitz here in New York. What's going on, Rich?
Oh, things are great, man. We're getting into summer and just
enjoying
life. Little kite surfing and a little bit of working. I'm telling you, I might not have got the same feeling as a lot of people as far as the business has been waning because real estate is going down because we're super busy here in California. How about you in New York?
Yeah, things are picking up for me. I mean, as you know, I don't shoot so much real estate, but just all the other work in general has been off the hook. So can't complain. Doing a lot of traveling this summer, both for work and for pleasure. So it's going to be a long summer. Awesome. So what we got going on today, Brian? Yeah, let's get right into it. We have a guest who's been with us many times before, Brandon Cooper. But before I introduce him, let's go to a quick word from HD Photo Hub. Provide your clients with the convenience of online ordering and scheduling with HD Photo Hub's new smart scheduling system built specifically for real estate photography businesses. With HD Photo Hub, you'll save precious admin time with an all-in-one system to deliver your images, videos, 3D scans, and property marketing kits, along with built-in client invoicing, order management, photographer payroll, and so much more. Check out hdphotohub.com to find out more. That's hdphotohub.com. And let's jump right into it. This is the season opener for our new season, and we thought what better way to start off this season with Brandon Cooper, because we got the big conference coming up. And I was about to say if no one heard the big conference coming up, but I would hope at this point everyone heard about it. So Brandon, thanks for coming on. Always a pleasure having you.
Yeah, same here, guys. Thanks for having me.
And if anyone's watching on YouTube and want to know what the conference venue looks like, just go check out Brandon's background. You'll have a good view of the event space with Gary Gomez's photo in the background. So if you're listening to this, Gary, go check it out on YouTube.
Yeah, that's from 2019.
Cool. And Gary, I recognized that photo once he put it on. So he didn't have to tell me. So cool. So Brandon, it's June now. November is when you hold the annual conference. So we're a couple months away. So let's get right into it. Just to start off, I guess, before we do that, I mean, if people don't know who you are, I mean, this episode is not going to be about you and your business, because I think we've been there and I think we've had episodes like that. But just in literally 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds max, just kind of sum up you and your own business before we get into it, just for people that haven't heard that. This episode is not about that, but I think it's good for people to know a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. So I'm based up in Northern Canada. I run a real estate photography company. I'm literally a one-man show. I shoot well over 1,000 homes a year by myself. I do floor plans, eye guides, drone, video, basically everything that we try to cover at the conference is what I do on a daily basis, kind of by myself. I'm in the process now of trying to scale a bit of a team because the volume is getting unmanageable. But one of the things that's most interesting is that, when I sort of designed this conference and built this conference, I was sort of building it for myself to solve problems that I have on a daily basis. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell. That's me. I'm shooting high volume real estate on the day-to-day, and then we run the conference once a year in November in Las Vegas.
Cool. So one thing, and I think this is sort of a perfect segue. You mentioned that you offer in your business pretty much everything you cover in the conference. And for the past couple of years, it was photography for real estate conference. It was primarily a focus on photography. You dabbled a little bit in video at the conference last year. But now you kind of did a rebrand to sort of include a lot more of those things that you said you focus on. So two things. Number one, before we even get into that rebrand, for people that don't even know about this conference or haven't even heard, why don't you just kind of give people a little insight to what it is?
Yeah, sure. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to really boil it down, it's an opportunity once a year for people in our industry to kind of step away from working in their business. Again, going back to my own world, I run a high volume business. I'm in the weeds all the time. It's nonstop. And having an opportunity to kind of put the camera down, step away, and go and hang out with 300 plus like-minded professionals from around the world to network and share best practices and learn from each other is a real refreshing opportunity for someone like myself. And so we designed this event for that exact reason. Get that chance to step away, kind of elevate, look at your business from 10,000 feet, get a sense of where things are at, sort of renew your, I don't know, I guess, like I said, kind of get into the weeds. So it's a bit of a refreshing opportunity to meet new people, network, share best practices, and come back to your business with some new ideas and an opportunity to take your business. I hate the word sort of next level, but to an extent, that's what it is. We've had opportunities in the last few years where you have lunch with somebody at the conference, and maybe you're in a position similar to me where you're a high volume shooter and you really want to consider the opportunity of scaling out a team and building a bit of a team that can back you up. Having the opportunity to sit down with somebody at lunch at the conference in Las Vegas to discuss those sort of things might give you a bit of a leg up when you go back to your market and you want to apply that to your business. Or let's say you're just dabbling in drones and you can meet some folks who are very established in that area, or all these different aspects of our industry. It's an opportunity for our industry to come together as a whole. And like I said, really kind of connect with one another, network, share best practices, and then just kind of go back to our own markets refreshed and ready to go.
Cool. So, you're doing things a little different this year than you've done in the past. And we'll get into that nitty gritty, but back to what we were speaking about, you did a little bit of a rebrand this year, and went from PFRE, which you've been since the beginning, it was a PFRE conference. And now we're PMRE, and you're going to be PMRE going forward. So let's talk a little bit about that and the idea behind the rebrand and the purpose for that.
Yeah, so since day one, even 2019, we were always incorporating a little bit of everything: video, floor plans, 3D, all that kind of stuff. And I kind of knew from the get-go that the PFRE brand was fairly pigeonholed and it was going to have a relatively short shelf life. I felt like it kind of alienated a certain amount of people in our industry, because when they hear photography for real estate, if they're not hardcore photographers, they weren't really sure, if there was a fit for them at the event. But in reality, we've covered that stuff since day one. So this year we decided to just slightly adjust our brand and our scope, broaden our scope a little bit to incorporate what the majority of the folks that attend the conference are actually doing on a regular basis. As I mentioned, I offer, a full array of marketing, from the photo to the video to drones, 3Ds, floor plans, all that kind of stuff. And it's pretty safe to say that the majority of people in our industry are doing the same kind of thing. So we wanted to adjust the brand slightly, broaden our scope a little bit to make it a little more all-encompassing of what this industry has actually become. So it's less of a change, more of a natural evolution. We're just growing with the industry. So we want to make sure that when, there's folks out there who specialize in creating media and content for real estate, if it's not specifically photography, maybe it's drone or 3D or whatever, at least they know that this is still an event that can be valuable to them. So that was sort of the main reason to making that adjustment. Like I said, it's not so much of a change, it's a little bit more of a natural evolution to stay on top of the industry and make sure that we can kind of it opens up opportunity to bring new attendees to the event and new sponsors, which ultimately benefits everybody in attendance.
Sure. And I think I was going to say, I think that works because the industry in general has just changed. And Brandon, I don't know exactly when you started or got into this. I got into this industry in around 2013, and I know, Rich, you were prior to me. So you can probably see, Rich, the biggest difference from then until now. Back then when you started in the industry in the old days, as we like to call him, my 4-year-old son asked me this morning if I was alive in the old days. But so
that was 5 years ago. Okay. Anyway.
Exactly. But at that, back then we were just photographers, and most of the time we would go there and we would just shoot photography, and video wasn't even a thing for real estate, and virtual tours weren't even a thing. And maybe people were doing floor plans, but they were drafting them with measuring tape and draft paper, or measuring tape and laser measures. So it's a completely different industry. And the whole idea of a one-stop shop, really, I know, especially for me in 2013, almost 10 years ago now, wow, wasn't even a thing. And I think you started, Rich, even earlier than that. It was the whole industry changed in general and what we have to offer. So I think you kind of rebranding to go along with that makes perfect sense.
Well, I will say something, Brandon. I cut my teeth on, and at the very beginning, on PFRE, photography for real estate. Now, and one thing I want to clarify, though, I think when you're doing videography, when you're doing all this stuff, it's still photography. 360s, still photography. It's just you're morphing into a new realm. But I do understand the media end of this, the big change. And I commend you, and I think it's great because, it's so different than it was. And there's so many more opportunities, not only to provide more, but to make more money. So that's something I hope people will get a lot out of the conference, how to really access all these different things to expand your business in so many ways, and to, make more money, make more connections, and provide more for your client. But I will say, I want people to know that we all started back in the day with PFRE, which was Larry Lorman's group. And the history of it was, at the very beginning, there was really no Facebook. This was before Facebook. And it was, what was, I'm having a space out. What was the platform that it was on?
Flickr.
It was
Flickr, yeah.
Flickr. Right, a Flickr group. And the only place we had to go, us photographers, was PFRE. And we still have some great people that were on PFRE in the original conception of it. And you're just taking that to the new level. So I think that it has a long history, but it is really going to be exciting because now you've not only taken it to a conference, we're taking it to a new level of conference, and we're adding the media aspect of it. And then let me ask you, I'm curious myself, what aspects of the media are you focusing on? Because the last couple of years, you might not have called yourself photography and media before, but now you're really going out on a limb to do that. What is different this year? That is, because we've always had different media aspects, video and such. What's going on in this year's conference that is different than the past that addresses media?
Well, and see, that's kind of the funny thing, is there's not a lot of change going on. There's not a lot of difference. From inception, we have been a media conference, but we were sort of using, the PFRE brand is what helped us launch the conference and establish what we've established up to this point. And I've been thinking about it, and I was like, over the last couple of years, I'm like, man, I know we miss out on really good opportunities to have great speakers, great attendees, great sponsors, because it is called photography for real estate. For those of us that are in the know, you, me, Brian, a lot of people listening, they know that we haven't been for years. We're not just photography. We are that one-stop shop marketing partner for our clients. And I've been thinking about it for a few years, and I'm like, man, we're missing so much opportunity. I don't believe that our name and our brand truly represents what this event is all about. And so we were trying to figure out what's that slight adjustment that we can make where we're not going to alienate our foundational attendees by abandoning photography, because let's be honest, that's why we were very specific about keeping photography in it. It's the photo and media for real estate conference, because for most of us, and the industry too, photography is the foundation. There's no question about it. But what most folks have done in our industry they've bolted on over time as they've earned trust with their clients. So in my experience, I started with just photography. I earned trust with my clients. I provided a good service. We got to know each other. Next thing you know, they're like, hey, video is starting to be a thing. Could you do that for me? And I was like, I don't really want to give them an opportunity to go elsewhere, so I should learn how to do that. Okay, so I started working on that. Then drones came into the world. Floor plans, measurements, all that kind of thing. It's a natural, again, that's why I go back and say it's not so much of a change as it is a natural evolution of our industry. So what better reason than to naturally evolve this event that we all kind of started at in 2019, being focused a little more on photography, but being a bit more deliberate on the fact that, because like I said, in 2019, we did include a lot of media, but it wasn't represented in the way that we promoted. Now it's like, hey, let's just be a little more deliberate about this is what this is actually about. This is about a bunch of people who create media for realtors to market properties across the world. And now that scope just is so much broader. It's all of it. It's photo, video, drones, 3D, floor plans, everything. We're all doing it anyhow. We just need to make it a little more obvious to everybody out there. So that's kind of the purpose of our slight adjustment and slight rebrand, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And people that are not providing those offerings are missing out. And it's an opportunity, and I think well worth people's investment in time and energy to learn, whether you go to the conference or you learn it on your own, but to learn about all these things you can add to your services, which it's not only making more money for you, it's providing your client, which is the bottom line, providing your client with more opportunities to be successful and to let them know, this is how I'm going to help you be more successful.
Yeah, and just to add one, because that's a great point. There are people I know personally who do nothing but photography for real estate, and they make an incredible living. However, if they were to bump into some people that I've met who have added one minor little additional service, let's call it, now instead of doing just photos, they're offering a reel every time they're at a property. It takes them an extra 20 minutes. They add another $100 to their bottom line. That could add 40% to their bottom line. So again, what we're focusing on with this conference is less about sort of the how, a little bit more about the why, bringing people together so that when you have those interactions and you bump into somebody, you're like, what do you do? And you're like, well, I focus mainly on photography. And they're like, you know what? I was in that same place a year ago, and I decided to start offering reels, and I've added 40% to my bottom line. Now they're like, really? How'd that happen? They start talking. That person goes back to their market, decides to start offering reels. To your point, Rich, they're offering their client a better service and also really adding to their own bottom line. And then when you compound that out to 300 people from around the world who are bringing knowledge from all these markets from all over the place and sharing best practices, then they disperse and go back to their markets. And you think about the compounding value of those interactions, it's pretty huge, right? So again, we're kind of focusing a little less on the technical side of things because, let's be honest, between you and Nathan Cool, all the different YouTube opportunities, the workshops, the online tutorials, you can learn pretty much everything you need to learn from home on a computer in terms of how to take a good photo. What you can't do is get in a room with 300 people who do what you do on a regular basis once a year to kind of connect and let your guards down, because that's the other thing in our markets. And I hate to use this term because we've used it so many times. You're an island in your market, right? You don't like to share your secrets, but in Vegas, guards are dropped. Everybody's an open book. You start to just kind of share everything you do that's really successful for you. And, the industry becomes better for it. So I don't need to go on a huge rant here, but that's kind of why we're doing what we're doing. It's a little more about bringing people together than it is about focusing on the hardcore technical aspects that you can get from home.
Cool. I think let's.
And the party alone is worth it, Brandon. I mean, really, you get together with 300 like-minded people, and it is incredible. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
No. Yeah, I can't agree with you anymore about the party. It was fun. We missed you last year.
Well, and can I jump in real quick for the party?
Sure, jump in.
We've learned a few things. We've now had 2 live events in year one.
I mean, that's the important thing here. Is the party, right?
So
Who cares about education?
Year one, we partied hard. It was wild, it was rowdy, it was loud, it was chaos, and it was so much fun, but it was a little challenging to actually network. It was called the Networking Nightcap Social. It was a little challenging to network. So year two, we decided to dial it back a little bit, which kind of blew up in our face because the DJ was still playing really loud music. But between the 2 years, the feedback I got was people actually loved year one when the party was rocking. And so I kind of thought, well, okay, for year three, we're just gonna have to kind of find a happy medium for the both. So what we're gonna do this year is we have some really cool stuff planned. We're gonna have it a little bit more formal in terms of like a program so people know what to expect, kind of manage expectations. So party will start at 7:30. 7:30 to 9:30 will be kind of house music, drinks and food, chill networking. 9:30 to 10, we're going to do the giveaways, and I can't disclose what exactly we're doing there, but I can say that we've got 2 absolutely killer giveaways for this year. And then from 10 on, we've got a band that I know I've seen personally live that are going to blow the doors off, and it's going to be party time. So 7:30 to 9:30 networking, 9:30 to 10 giveaways, 10 on is party time. For those who don't want to party, they can do their thing. For those who are there and want to party, we're gonna make that happen for them. So I wanted to make sure that I got that in before we moved on.
That's all we need to discuss. We can finish it off now and call it a night. That's it. If people aren't sold with that party, then we can't help them.
That's right.
But let's shift gears, I guess, to the agenda and talk about some of the presenters. And
Sure.
You're doing workshops this year, and we'll get into all the nitty gritty. Before we jump into that, though, I just want to quickly say a word from our friends at iGuide. Are you looking to expand your real estate photography business? Stand out from the crowd by offering 3D tours, accurate room measurements, square footage calculations, and professionally drafted floor plans, all from the click of a button with the state-of-the-art iGuide camera system. Get your first 5 standard iGuides up to 3,000 square feet free by adding the code Shooting Spaces in the referral section at camera purchase. Visit goiguide.com to learn more. And I think I can confidently say all 3 of us are now iGuide users, so we definitely stand by iGuide. Definitely worth going. All right, cool. So let's get into it. We got, the agenda. Well, you're doing some workshops this year, which are going to take place before the conference. We'll talk about those, I guess, after. And we have 2 full days of nonstop action. So as we spoke about beforehand, before we went on the air, we're not going to dive too deep into it, but let's quickly run through sort of, the different presenters. Just for full disclosure, a lot of the presenters that are speaking this year are going to be guests on our podcast this season. Excuse me. Excuse me. So you will be able to find out some more about some of these presenters in future episodes. But let's go over what the different presenters have planned. Yeah,
sure. So just to sort of reiterate, one of the things, we were thinking hard this year about what this event is and what's not. And what we really determined, the one problem that we solve for people in this industry is the opportunity to connect with 300 plus other professionals from around the world. You can learn the majority of the technical stuff from home. We want to focus this event a little bit more on the why, less than the how. and we want to focus more on the business aspect of things a little bit. And so some of these people that you'll see on the speaker roster, they're not necessarily real estate photographers or photographers in general. They're business folks. They're people who have experience in a wide range of different things that I believe are applicable to our industry. And some of the things that I think have been sort of overlooked a lot in the material that's available to us as real estate photographers. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a high volume shooter. I'm kind of run ragged. I basically I shoot all day and I have my systems in place, but I need help. I need help with marketing. I need help with all the different business aspects of the industry. And so I thought, when we're bringing folks together, and this is based too, I should back up a second. This is based too on a lot of feedback that we've had over the years. There was two sort of main themes that came out of the feedback from last year. And this was based on a lot of people who had been there for year 1 and year 3 in person. Number one was the value that they placed on networking and connecting with those folks. Number 2 was actually scaling back the program a little bit. It's an intense 2 days. You're there for the pre-reg party. You hang out all night on Tuesday night. You have an intense day on Wednesday with lunches and speakers. Then we have the party Wednesday. Then Thursday, there's the second day of the program. And by the end of that day, man, everyone is spent. So there's a lot of feedback saying, hey, let's scale back a touch on the program. Let's make it a little less intense. And let's focus on the networking and the inspiration and the educational part of the event. So I just wanted to set the stage or sort of manage expectations to let people know that that's sort of what the feedback that we took into consideration when we were building up this year's program. So that being said, jumping into the agenda, pretty straightforward stuff. So Tuesday night, because again, this is a Wednesday, Thursday event. We did that on purpose because that really minimizes costs for attendees when it comes to travel and also hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff. Doors will open, let me back up again. Tuesday evening, we'll have the pre-reg sort of gathering. That's a casual event. This year, we're changing it a slight bit. We're moving it to an actual venue that we've rented full on so that we're not, I'm sure, Rich and Brian, you can remember the last few years that we've been at the Silverado for check-in. There's 250 people crammed into a space that probably has room for 100. It's chaotic. Everybody gets their badges and their lanyards, but it's an exciting time. It's the first time people have seen each other for a year. Everybody's excited. The energy is awesome. And it helps us check a bunch of people in to take some pressure off the next morning. So this year, we're doing the same exact thing, but we're moving it to a different spot on the casino floor where we've actually booked out a lounge that'll be private to us. We'll have bartender, like our own dedicated bartenders, servers, bussers. So just to be a little easier to it'll just be easier for people to network. You're not going to be tripping over people. I remember last year, I don't know, you could barely get from one side of the lounge to the other to say hi to somebody because it was just packed, right? Yeah. We're gonna make that a little bit easier for this year. So that's Tuesday night. So then Wednesday, doors are gonna open at 8:30. We'll have a host welcome. Then Brannick from Ario is gonna jump on stage at 9:15. He's gonna do about a 20-minute sort of state of the industry where they're gonna, they have a unique position where they have a lot of data on the industry in terms of, how many shoots are being done, and based on those shoots, who's using 3D, who's using video, who's using drone, all that kind of stuff. They're going to share a bunch of information that most of us on an individual level wouldn't really have access to, and I think that's a pretty valuable thing for those of us who are in the industry to get a good snapshot of what's going on out there as a whole, rather than just what we're focused on sort of in our own little market. Then we've got Reed Fish, and we touched on scaling your business a bit last year when we did a speaker panel. Reed is going to dive into this. He's the CEO of Upmarket in California. They've been building and scaling a team. He's a very thoughtful guy, super smart, and he's going to discuss a little bit about kind of like we almost all get to a point in our career where we decide whether we're going to go at it ourselves forever or if we're going to actually scale a team. So to me, it's a talk that's valuable to pretty well anybody, regardless of what stage they're at in their career. And again, like I said, he's a very thoughtful guy. He's kind of been through the process himself, and he's going to share a little bit about if, when, and how the time comes to scale your business, but kind of more importantly, why you should or why you shouldn't, which I think is important. Emily, who I believe you guys had Emily on the podcast last year, correct?
Yeah, we had Emily last year, and we actually we had Reed. We recorded with Reed, so he's going to be on a future episode. So listen out in the next couple of weeks for Reed. We have it in the can already, so listen out for that. And yeah, we did speak to Emily last season. She was great.
Awesome. So Emily is going to be. She was part of the discussion panel last year. And she's going to come and talk to us a little bit about sort of the metaverse and NFTs and digital real estate, that kind of thing. You know, that's one of those topics that a lot of us are kind of like, you know, it's way over our heads, you know, me specifically, but I feel like it's something that we need to at least start being a little more deliberate about learning, or at least getting a sense of how that kind of stuff is going to affect our industry. Because no different than, you know, how we went from hardcore real estate photography to now photography and media for real estate. There is going to be that aspect down the road where that digital stuff and the metaverse is going to have a massive impact on our industry. I don't really know what that looks like, what that impact is going to be, but I do know that there's going to be an impact. And so Emily is quite knowledgeable in that area. Plus, she runs a real estate photography business. So I thought no one better for her than her to kind of jump on that stage and fill us in a little bit. It's not going to be a hardcore deep dive. It's going to be more like a, hey, this is kind of where things are at. This is where we see things going. And these are a few things you might want to be mindful of to pay attention to as time goes on, if that makes sense. Then a lunch break. We built in really long lunch breaks again this year, the hour and a half. People love that opportunity to go and catch lunch together. Just to network. We have day one, we have a ladies luncheon that's hosted by Natalia Robert and the Grove Studio. And we have special guest Emma Peter, who is also going to be a presenter on the main stage. And during that ladies luncheon, it's going to be just a casual social event. And it's kind of an ask me anything with Emma. So she'll be there in attendance. The room will be set up in a way where it's sort of a round table lunch. And it's just an opportunity for ladies in the industry to connect with one another and ask Emma any questions that they have. She's kind of been through everything from high volume real estate photography. She started out with Expedia shooting hotels back in the day, and now she's one of the top ranked architectural photographers in the world. She runs an agency. She's familiar with publishing, copyright. I mean, she's just a wealth of knowledge. She'll be a great opportunity for the ladies to connect with and ask questions. Any questions before I go on?
No.
Okay, no. Moving right along. Yeah. Just after lunch, Arturo and Lauren, I believe you guys have also had them on last year.
Yeah.
They're a duo from Lauren's from Hong Kong, Arturo's from Spain. They both now live in LA, I believe, and they're going to tackle the topic of video. We haven't drilled down exactly what they're going to talk about, but Reels, sort of simplified video, kind of demystifying for those of us. We go back to our conversation earlier where it's like, hey, I just started adding Reels to my offering and it's adding $75 to $150 to my bottom line. What's the best way to do that? How do I streamline it? They're going to cover some of that video stuff. Something new that we've implemented this year. Last year, if you guys remember, we did a vendor's hour once on day 2. And I got so much positive feedback from attendees who love the opportunity, not only to have a break in the afternoon to talk to vendors, get some question answered, but also to connect with other attendees. It was basically an hour of networking built into the day right in the middle of our program. So we decided to double down on this year again in the spirit of really encouraging networking this year. We've added an hour of the networking an hour of networking on each day of the conference. And we call it the sponsors happy hour because the bars will be open. People want to go and get a beer, pop or whatever, and just kind of hang out and chill with other attendants. Then we've got
Wait, there are bars in Vegas? What?
Hey, Rich, I've seen you in 2019, and you were well aware there was a bar in the venue.
Okay, let's not go into that, but just let people know there's a lot of fun involved with the whole conference.
Well, so in our venue, so for those who are listening who haven't attended in the past, our venue is a showroom. So it's sort of multi-level restaurant booth seating, very casual, very comfortable. And there are a couple bars in there that are open throughout the entire event. Sometimes they pop popcorn in the afternoon and there's snacks. It's just a very casual, comfortable environment. And then so during that sponsor time, it's just an opportunity to kind of connect with other attendees, go over and meet up with vendors. And again, just we want to enable and encourage those networking opportunities. After that hour, Devin Pistorius from Windsor is going to go up, and he's going to focus on, kind of what we're truly doing. We're not really selling homes. We're marketing agents, right? We're helping agents get that next listing. We're helping agents brand themselves and establish themselves in their market. At the end of the day, it's our content that helps them position themselves in their market as a leader. It's not so much us trying to sell homes. I thought Devin was a great candidate for that position because I don't know if you guys have seen their videos, but he's had a couple of videos go viral where they've done a rap video. They've done this crazy one take, 2.5 minute video of an old home in Windsor with 20 actors involved. They also did a Blues Brothers take.
He did a Jay-Z song, a Jay-Z music video. We also recorded with Devin, and it's gonna be released in a couple of weeks as well. And we actually talked about the Jay-Z video he did in that episode.
Yeah, so that's the correct. They did that. They did a waterfront property, and they called the video "I Got 99 Problems, but a Beach Ain't One." And Devin literally rewrote the entire lyrics to that song and replaced it with the explanation of the house. And it's kind of mind-blowing, man. Like when you watch it.
He had the music recorded in a full studio and everything. Yeah. So we'll get into that when our episode releases. But definitely worth checking out.
He's a stickler for detail. He's very well spoken, super smart guy. I'm excited. I think he'll be great on that stage. So after Devin, the night will wrap. We'll go to the nightcap networking social. Again, like I said earlier, 7:30 to 9:30 is going to be networking. 9:30 to 10 giveaways, and we have 2 badass giveaways we're going to do this year, plus some others. And then from 10 on, we're going to party. And I've got a band lined up that I know for a fact, if they can't get you going, then I don't know what we can do. Because when I saw them live, it was just absolutely awesome. Day 2, a little bit of a later start for those that were out having some fun. Get going at 9 o'clock. We're going to open with if you guys remember last year, we did a photo critique live on stage with Wayne, Capilli, and Tony Colangelo. Do you guys remember that, Brian?
Sure, yeah.
So I don't know if you recall, but there was a moment in that session where Wayne was using Lightroom to review an image, and he brought up the shadow on a bed in one of the images. And I happened to be standing in the showroom. And when he brought up that shadow, I saw the entire room light up. Everybody perked up, and I was like, oh, wow. Because I kind of was thinking we can't really do editing on this screen because it's a 30-foot LED screen, right? Contrast is off, color quality is going to be off. But when I saw the room brighten up, I thought, wow, maybe we can do a full edit. Because really, if you're not too concerned about colors, but you're just walking people through the actual process of an edit, we can completely accomplish that with this screen that we have. And so this year, I decided to go a little bit further. We're going to have Wayne and Tony on stage with Fraser Almeida. They're also doing a workshop prior to the conference. And they're going to they're going to have submissions, no different than they did last year, where they had people submit photos for critique they're going to have people do the same thing, but rather than submit final images, they're going to say, hey, submit your raw images, 1, 2 ambient frames with a couple flash frames. They're going to select a few ahead of time, and they're actually going to work those files from raw to delivered on stage in person in front of the audience. And I think that's a cool opportunity for those folks who are really craving a little bit more of the technical instruction for the conference. So I think that's going to be a really cool session, very engaging, and a good opportunity even for some attendees to see some of their images edited in real time by some of the best in the industry. How are we doing here? Any questions?
No.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea, though. I love that. It's
cool.
Great.
Well, I appreciate that. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. The other thing too, and that's also just another thing about the feedback that we had from people being like, it's such an intense time together. It would be nice to have some breaks. And to me, Wayne, Fraser, and Tony on stage doing a live critique is a nice little break from someone on stage just kind of presenting to you, right? It's a little more engaging. It's an opportunity for people to just sit back and watch. Moving on here. So Jessie Congleton, this is an interesting one. She's a marketing and branding expert. I have experience with her. I've worked with her quite substantially. And we work, I had an experience with her where she helped me really kind of figure out what the future of this event is going to be and what we think our identity is and how we're going to sort of serve the industry and serve the audience. And we just kind of became fast friends. And I thought, you know what? I have learned so much from you. You've been so valuable for what I'm doing. And a lot of people in the audience are going to be or have been or are currently in the same exact situation that I'm in. And I got so much value from you. Maybe it would make sense for you to come on stage and sort of share the same approach to our industry. And this is one of those presentations she's not a real estate photographer. She's a marketing and branding expert. But she has an approach where you can learn from her and apply it to your own personality and your own market. And I think that's one of the things, we talk about this often. We're so focused on the technical side of things, learning how to take a better photo, how to use this camera, that camera, this flash, that flash, blending, software, all that kind of thing. We often forget how to position ourselves in our market to our clients, make sure that we're attracting the right clients, the right type of business. And Jessie is just an absolute pro at that. And I think that's going to add a lot of value to the overall experience. Again, it's not photography based. This one's more on the business side, and she's really awesome. So I'm really looking forward to having her in person. Alrighty, so yeah, another long lunch break for networking, and then Emma Peter, she's a Vancouver-based architectural photographer, but like I mentioned earlier, she started out doing high volume with Expedia, shooting hotel rooms. She's kind of been through everything that the majority of us that are going to be in that room have been through. She's gone from the high volume, super intense, sometimes low cost real estate / hospitality, moved into a little more moderate, and then now she shoots nothing but sort of the most fantastic architecture in the world, travels the planet shooting everything. She's been, you just got to Google her and you'll find how special she is. But the cool thing about Emma is that she brings a perspective that's really interesting, because she has been where pretty much everybody in the room has been before. And then she's chosen a path that's got her to where she is now. It's not a better path, it's just a different path. And she recognizes that. And she's very inspiring. She comes from communist Bulgaria, grew up there. So she has just a really interesting perspective on just everything. And when I had an hour conversation with her, I thought, man, I don't even care what she talks about, because everything that she talks about is compelling. And every time I've talked to her about anything, I've come away having learned something that I can apply to my business. So I'm really excited to have Emma there, and I think that she'll bring a lot of value to the audience. Now, after Emma, we're going to do another sponsors happy hour, again, networking with the audience and with the sponsors and the vendors. Then we're going to do a wrap like we typically do, speakers panel with all of our main speakers on stage, hosted again by Vince from VHT, because that's his wheelhouse and he's kind of figured out how to do a great job at it.
He's the best.
And he's the best, yeah. And then that's it. And we're going to wrap, and then that's it for PMRE Conference 2022.
Wow. I mean, look, if that hasn't sold anyone, I don't know what will. But you know what? Honestly, I think you're speaking about trying to diversify and change up the presenters. And nothing against your previous conferences, but this presenter lineup is I'm looking forward to the most out of the two previous and I guess three with virtual previous presentations. So I'm really excited about it. Can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
And I'd like to jump in here and just say something to the people that are listening that feel like, well, I'm just getting in the business. I don't know if I'm going to gain anything. I don't know if I want to expand, to scale up, this and that. I want to say to those people, this is an opportunity to really get a better understanding of who you are, what you're selling, what you're doing. And really, there is so much more than you can ever imagine you're going to get from this opportunity to hang out, to not only have the opportunity to talk with and meet the best in the world, but you're going to be able to meet people very similar to where you are that have all realized, this is a great opportunity. And that's what I took away most from it. It's an opportunity to meet other people in your field, to get a feeling for what other people are doing, and you don't have to, you don't have to deal with your I'm sorry, your competition. If it worries you, you are going to be able to get so much information, and you're going to walk away from this. And if you look at this as a return on investment, I think it's just not only a great time, but it's a way that you can really get into this business and you can expand and you can go into it fighting and really, really making a name for yourself. So that's what I think is so important for people to understand, is not only this isn't for the people that are already established and moving up and moving into to design photography or whatever. This is for everyone. And this is for the people just getting in the business. And this is worth the while. And it's such a fun time too. So that's what I wanted to say.
Well, if I can jump in for a sec too, Rich, just to add to that, because you're spot on. And one of the things that I get often is a message on Instagram or Facebook saying, hey, I'm just getting into this. I'm just dabbling, or I'm a wedding photographer and I'm looking at getting into real estate photography, but I'm brand new. Is there any value in me kind of being at this event? And like I said, we focus more on the business side of things, the networking side, because a lot of that technical you can learn from home. At the same time, after doing this now, this is our 4th year, I can say with complete confidence that what it provides through the networking, the connections you make, the contacts, the conversations that you have, it provides a bit of an opportunity for a fast track. If you guys, we all know Tony Colangelo very well. 7 years ago now, 2015, I reached out to Tony for some photography coaching. And again, we became very fast friends. I learned more from Tony in 3 months. I felt like it saved me 2 years of learning on my own or trying to find my way through the weeds. And I kind of apply that same thing to the conference. Because even if you come and you don't necessarily learn a bunch of technical stuff, you're going to make contacts and friends of people that you can reach out to. They're going to help you skip over some of those pitfalls or roadblocks that you would have to learn on your own. You can fast track. So to your point, Rich, I just want to sort of reiterate that there's so much value in coming and being around 300 people who do this on a regular basis, and it's literally their life. They eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff. So yeah. The other thing too that we didn't even touch on, while the conference itself focuses on some of the higher level business stuff and the networking and the inspiration, we do have 5 pretty killer workshops on the front end of the conference for those who really do crave the technical. So Brian, Rich, I don't know if you guys wanted to get into that a little bit or not.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about it. I mean, we're running low on time, so let's talk about them quickly. But there are 5 different workshops going on, both that Monday and Tuesday prior to the conference. So one of the workshops is actually both days. So you mentioned briefly earlier that Tony, Wayne, and Fraser are giving a workshop. That's going to be a 2-day workshop, and that's on luxury real estate photography. That is, and all the workshops are optional. So you don't have to, you can just go to the conference. You don't have to feel obligated to go to a workshop. But I mean, the way I look at it, if you're already taking a trip out to Vegas, you might as well get the most bang for your buck and learn as much as you can while you're there, and go out with the most information. So
Yeah.
I want to say one thing really important. I know a lot about workshops because I put on almost 20 workshops in the past. I am going to be hosting my residential real estate photography workshop. And I just want to say, whatever workshop you're thinking about, there is no better way to learn, in my opinion. I provide coaching. I do, we have our courses. We have all this different types of learning. YouTube, my YouTube channel, you name it. It's all out there. There is absolutely no difference. I mean, no comparison to doing a hands-on workshop. And Brandon, you've done workshops. You put on workshops. You know, there's something about being there and physically touching and being with the person. You don't have to touch me or be with me, but I'm just saying you get to see me in action doing what I do. And you get to then have me critique you doing what you do. And there's just no comparison to doing anything else. No other learning opportunity can compare to a hands-on workshop. And we have, Brian, you're going to be doing your commercial real estate photography workshop, which is fantastic because there's a whole market out there that is left untouched for commercial real estate photography. And, you can go through everything that anybody needs to know. And you don't even have to be an extremely advanced photographer. I think the things that you're teaching, Brian, you can really learn just by doing the workshop and take advantage of these opportunities. The other ones we have, Brandon, we're going to be doing a drone workshop. We're going to be doing a video workshop. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so just one more point to what you just said, Rich. It's one thing to get into a workshop and to learn from an instructor, hands-on, face-to-face, get feedback, get one-on-one feedback. In my experience over the years with workshops, the best value I've gotten incredible value from the instructors that have been there, but it's my peers that are standing beside me with their own camera, shooting the same exact thing. We might be seeing it a little bit differently. We're learning from each other, and then we've got a pro up front who can come in and lend some knowledge and experience as well. I don't want to sound salesy, but you're right. I mean, it's an incredible experience, and you build a camaraderie with the other attendees that is hard to find elsewhere. Now, to that point, we do have a few others. So as you mentioned, Brian's going to be doing a commercial real estate photography workshop, which I think is one of the most untapped opportunities for our industry. We talked about it a little bit at the conference last year where, we already have the equipment, we already have the skill sets, we know what we're doing. Why are we not pursuing that jewelry store or that industrial space or whatever? There's just an untapped market there. So I think it's for those folks especially who are kind of already fairly savvy when it comes to real estate photography, going to that commercial course and seeing an opportunity to approach that side of the business is a great opportunity. We also have a video workshop with Stephen Magner and Jordan Powers. For those of you who don't, I mean, Jordan's become a very well name. He's produced some tutorials, super talented guy, really a good guy in our industry, always willing to help people. And then Stephen Magner, also an incredible talent when it comes to video and filmmaking. And the two of them together, I think, are just an awesome duo when it comes to learning how to do real estate video, from the basics of sort of the technical side all the way through to creating really high-end stuff. And more importantly, figuring out how to tell the story. Because again, if we go back to talking about how we are trying to augment our agents' brands and really set our clients apart from the competition, what better way to do that than to help them tell a compelling story of the property that they're marketing. So I think that's a really interesting opportunity to spend a day with two of those guys.
I'm actually pretty upset that my workshop's the same day and I can't attend it.
Yeah,
I agree. I'm the same way. I would love to go to Wayne and Tony and Fraser's workshops, but I can't.
Yeah.
So
as you mentioned, Wayne and Tony and Fraser are doing a 3-day luxury real estate shoot. And knowing Fraser, he's Las Vegas based. I'm sure he's going to have some crazy property look for them to go and shoot. I've seen some of the stuff that he's been shooting. I was actually in Vegas last month and spent some time with Fraser. And we went and we got to go downtown, right in the heart of the strip, top of this building, wall to ceiling, or floor to ceiling, windows looking down the strip, shooting this insane penthouse. And I was just losing my mind. And Fraser's like, it's just another Tuesday for me, man. So he's got some crazy real estate. The other one that's interesting, so Rich, you're doing also a residential real estate workshop. And then the other one that's really interesting this year, drones is a big part of our industry. We know it, but it's a very difficult thing to kind of cover from a stage. You're not going to get a guy on stage for 45 minutes to really teach anybody anything about drones. So we thought, why not reach out to Drone Launch Academy, who are, one of the leading drone companies or educators in the US. David is a super smart guy. They've taught thousands of drone operators. But the thing to me that's so special about this workshop is it's kind of like, if you think about, like, say, a Matterport or an iGuide. As a photographer, if I'm deciding, we talked earlier about people who only do photography. If they're thinking, hey, I want to maybe get into 3D, you don't really go and spend $2 or $3 grand on a camera and just decide, I want to see what it feels like. You don't have that opportunity. You got to make the move or not. Same thing with drones. You're not going to be like, well, I'm going to spend $2 grand on a drone, and then I'm going to go and get my FAA, and I'm going to go through all this education, and then decide if I want to actually implement drones into my business or if I want to just outsource. The cool thing about this workshop is they're coming in with a bunch of instructors, and they're going to be in a position where you can actually, if you've never touched a drone in your life, you can physically fly drones. They're going to do some obstacle courses, and they're also going to provide some really good material that they have in terms of like study guides for getting your FAA if you do decide it's something you want to pursue. So it's a hands-on outdoor, literally, Brandon's never touched a drone before, and now he gets a chance to fly it with qualified instructors around. And that's going to help me decide whether or not I want to pursue that as another additional value add in my business. So between those 5 workshops, I believe we've covered a good sort of technical spectrum of things in our industry that are pretty important. And this is all building off of last year. We did one workshop to see if there was an appetite for that hardcore technical. It went really well. And so we wanted to expand on that this year and make sure that opportunity was available for those who wanted it.
Sure. And we did interview David Young also, so from Drone Launch Academy. So that's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks as well. So look out for that if you want to learn a little bit more about him and about what they do and see if that workshop is something that interests you. Cool. And I think that's about it. One thing we didn't mention is PMREconference.com. That's where you can find out. That's where you can find out all the info. And I mean, there's not as much of a need to mention it because it'll be in the show notes. But we have to mention it. But I'm saying not up front. But PMRE.com, photography and media for real estate PMREconference.com. And
just to clarify, Brian, PMREconference.com.
Yeah, sorry. PMREconference.com. You can go there. You can find out about all the presenters. You can find out the itinerary. You can find out about all the workshops, register through there. Everything is directly through there. And, if you have any questions about anything, you can feel free. I'm sure Brandon will be receptive of any questions anybody has. So feel free to reach out to Brandon. If you have any questions about, my or Rich's workshop, feel free to reach out to us. And I'm sure I can speak on behalf of all the other workshop presenters. If you have questions about their workshops, feel free to reach out to them.
And just one thing, Brian, sorry to jump in, just to clarify, on the website, if you're on the workshop page, if you go to each individual workshop, there is a direct line to each presenter of the workshop. So attendees or potential attendees can contact you guys directly through the workshop page. And then there's also a frequently asked questions page on the website that pretty well covers all the questions that we've had in the past when it comes to shuttle, free shuttle to and from the airport to the hotel, how to get that's one thing we didn't touch on. We've got a $70 a night room rate at South Point, which hilariously, I think has scared people away in the past because it sounds so cheap that they think it's a dive, but the rooms are actually very nice and very clean and huge. There's floor maps on that frequently asked questions page that outline where the pre-reg party is, where the actual showroom is for the conference. Basically, all the questions that you might have about the event are on that question page. But of course, if there's anything that's still outstanding, by all means, use the contact page, reach out, and we'll get back to you right away.
And I'd like to say, I want to jump in. I know we're late on time. We're running short on time, but I want to jump in and just say one thing to you, Brandon. And this is for everybody. And this is from my true self. Brandon, you put on, I was at the 2019 conference. You put on a first-class event. For your first year, I was blown away. I was so proud of you, but proud of everybody that worked on it. It was not just, the room is spectacular. The hotel is spectacular. And it is Vegas. It is a casino, but it just the way you put it on. And now that you've got 3 years under your belt, this is the 4th year, it's incredible. So I want anybody that's thinking about it, this is not just a willy-nilly go to Vegas and do a mediocre conference for real estate photography. This is first class with first class presenters, but it's a first class venue with a showroom that was fantastic. And I just want to really compliment you because I was so impressed when I was with you, and I can't wait to attend again and join you on this one.
Well, I sure appreciate that, Rich. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and
yeah,
there's nothing that makes us happier than when we finally get, it's neat. We're coming into year 4. Last year was our second in-person. And when I saw the high fives and the hugs and all the connecting that was being done at the pre-reg party, it was just like, man, this is what it's all about. So we have a great time doing it. And I cannot wait, knock on wood. This will be our first year since inception that hasn't been riddled with insane out of our control challenges. So I'm really excited, and I do appreciate your words.
Great. No problem. Awesome.
All right, cool. Before we wrap up, I'm going to say a final word from our good friends at Photo Up. Also, Devin, hopefully he'll be at the conference this year. Outsourcing your editing sucks. The inconsistency, poor communications, and time spent sending back revisions are all taking time and money away from your business. I see Rich giggling in the background. That's why Photo Up is changing the game. Photo Up allows you to work directly with an individual editor or team of editors who are 100% dedicated to you and your business. Photographers with dedicated editors rate their batches good or amazing 98% of the time, have 3 times less revisions, and see unsatisfactory edits decrease by up to 80%. Don't have enough work to keep one person busy all the time? PhotoUp allows you to hire part-time editors starting at just 4 hours a day. Sign up for a free account at photoup.net and send trial images over to 3 different editors. Go to photoup.net and click sign up, or click the PhotoUp logo on our Shooting Spaces website. And with that, thank you, Brandon. As always, it's always fun. We do our, I guess, I feel like it's like an annual tradition now. We get going around springtime to talk about the upcoming conference. So hopefully we'll have you sooner than next spring for the next conference. But always a pleasure. And I can't wait to hang out and have a drink with you in November.
For sure.
It's going to creep up upon us pretty soon. So
it sure is, guys. Again, as always, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you guys, and can't wait to connect again in person.
Sure. So lastly, once again, PMREconference.com. Go there, register, get some more information, learn about everything that's going on, or just get some contact info to reach out to Brandon if you have any questions. And with that, Rich, anything else we need to say? We got a great season coming up. We spoke about a couple of the guests we have coming up already. So I'm excited to be back. It's been a while.
Yeah. And I want to thank all our listeners. We really have been so blessed to have everybody have such a great presence in our podcast. And what are we going on 4 years or something like that? It's crazy. Oh my gosh, if people knew how much work it was to do a podcast, they wouldn't do one. But we're doing it, and we're so excited. Brandon, I can't wait to go. I'm now just getting super jazzed to go. And it's really all about just hanging out with my friends. And if you want to hang out with me and Brandon and Brian and all the other players in this game of real estate photography, come on to Vegas. I promise you, you're going to have a great time. You're going to learn a lot. And, hopefully it's a write-off, I mean, that's always good.
I'm going to reveal the best South Point secret that I discovered last year. I probably shouldn't say this. You can go to the South Point spa and buy for $30 an all-day pass. And I did that last year, and I hung out at the spa for 5 hours. Jacuzzi, hot tubs, private lounge, it was phenomenal. So just saying, if you get in a day earlier, a day prior to our conferences, $30, go in there and spend a couple hours in that spa. Well worth it.
I'll add to that, Brian. I'll add one to that. If you sit at any bar that happens to have a video gambling machine, and the bartender asks you, are you gambling? Whether you're gambling or not, your answer is yes, because it'll be free drinks as long as you're sitting there.
Man,
Only took me 4 years to figure that out.
So for $30, you can get sauna, jacuzzi, steam room, and free drinks.
And free drinks all day.
That's it. What more do you need?
Oh, God, how am I going to follow that up? I'll follow it up by, listen, I promise everybody can come jacuzzi with me. Okay? Come on, Brian, you're going to be there. Brandon?
We're trying to sell tickets. We're trying to sell tickets.
Anyway, listen, I just want to say thank you, Brandon, for coming on. Brian, as always, a pleasure. And really from the bottom of my heart, until we next meet, and hopefully that will be before Vegas, but until we meet in Vegas, go shoot some spaces.
This has been Shooting Spaces. For more episodes, visit shootingspacespodcast.com and visit our education site at shootingspaces.net.